welcome back to Hi Guys, it's your boy BDR and I'm back with another AQ video. Now today's review is going to be about the just released Unundead Goat class. Now the thing about this class is it's kind of like a rework of the Undead Goat class which came out around 2015. So AQ said for their April Fools this year they wanted to base around goats, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Messi, Ronaldo, Cena, The Rock, those goats. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, you know what I mean? Yoche, Joel Embiid. My bad for that last one. I'm sorry, it is April Fools after all. So there's that. So yeah, the only way to really get this class, you have to / join Goat Field. You do have to complete the quest. It's not really here anymore because once you complete it, you basically turn into the Undead Goat. You know what I mean? You click on shop and you could just get the class like that. Now that we got that out of the way, let's look at the skills. So for its auto attack, it has its forage. It's a 2-second cooldown physical short range 1 target. Gathers grass as you stack, which stacks to 8 and is used by your other abilities. Then you have your rank 1 skill, Goat Scream. Applies Inhuman Scream, increasing your crit chance by 3% and the damage of subsequent screams for 8 seconds stacks to 5. If you are not free range, it applies Downhill Battle, reducing your opponent's outgoing damage by 20% for 20 seconds. If you are free range, it applies Uphill Battle, increasing your outgoing damage by 15% for 10 seconds. Rank 2 skill, Headbutt. Let's see, stunning them for 3 seconds and applying head injury, reducing their dodge by 10% and blocking the next stun for 12 seconds. If you are not free range, applies Fenced Off, reducing your target's haste and crit chance by 10% for 20 seconds. If you are free range, this skill deals increased damage. Your rank 3 skill, Bones of Steel, 20 mana, 10-second cooldown, physical, short range. It heals based on your stacks of gas gathered while consuming those stacks and applying Steel Frame, increase your damage resistance by 40% for 20 seconds and removing free range if it's active. Your rank 4 skills, Spring-Loaded Goat Legs, haste increased by 20%, and Hardier Fur, damage resistance increased by 15%. And for your rank 5 skill, you have Goat Stampede, 30 mana, 10-second cooldown, physical, long range, 1 target. Damage dealt is increased for each stack of gas gathered. Oh man, can't speak today. Applies free range for 10 seconds, which increases your strength by 50% and is used by your other abilities. And finally, for your rank 10 passive, you have Goaded. Just like me. You have an extremely small chance to fight an Invinciberry. This berry brings out the true go within you for 8 seconds, increasing your outgoing damage, physical damage by 100% and making you invisible for the duration. So yeah, what we can gather about this class so far is that you kind of want to stack your grass gathered, and then you spam your 2 and 3, and your Goat Stampede will increase your damage, and use 4 if you want to heal. All right then, let's move on to the combos and enhancements. All right guys, so here's the build for the Undead Goat class. Valiance, boost up the core stats plus, more base HP. Lucky because of crits. Vainglory for more damage. Plus our heal will be just fine. And, base Forge for, that extra base HP. Because right now we're at 3220 base HP, which is kind of what we want. So, yeah, pretty nice base HP. And for substitutes, you can just run Ravenous if you really care about damage like that. Alright then, for your combo, what you want to do here is 1, and then you want to spam 2 and 3 until you have 8 stacks of grass gathered, and then press your 5, and use 4 when you need to heal. Now the thing about this class, right, is, this class wants to do damage. Oh damn, 40k right in there, and now we're under free range, and now we get extra buffs due to free range. Right here, we could just do this right here, yep. Yep, so when you basically get into free range, you kind of just want to just spam, 2, 3, and 5. Up there goes 4. We need to heal. And then we just start the combo all over again. There you go right here, just our stacks, and now free range is active. Now we get extra buffs. Extra buffs. But so far in terms of DPS, this class can really go well, but it needs Forge. 46k right then and there. 46k. Wow. 46k. 46k again. Seems like our damage will probably just cap off at that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. 56k. Wow. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much, been it for soloing. As you can see, under, a minute 30, 716,000. Right then and there. So yeah, in terms of soloing, this class can really put up some pretty good numbers, when there's Forge involved. Other than that, it can kind of hold its own in like some soloing situations. Alright then, let's move on to farming. Alright, yeah, don't farm with this class. It's short range and it only is a single target. Highly recommend using a multi-targeting class. Alright then, let's move on to survivability. Alright guys, so in terms of survivability, I mean, with Undead Goat, like I said, it does have a chance to stun. It could, reduce the opponent's. You can, it could debuff the opponent and whatnot, but you do have to, keep in mind with your HP and whatnot. That's why I recommended, Forge and base enhancements. It has a good heal, even with, Vainglory and whatnot. It can actually quite, go off when, there are like some cases where, it can get one shot, two shot, but, and also there are bosses that are like immune to stun. But other than that, right then and there, and plus with your heal, they do take away stacks of your grass as well, so keep that in mind. In terms of survivability, yeah, it has some survivability due to its stun and its debuffs. Alright then, let's move on to support and then final thoughts. Alright guys, so in terms of support, I mean, it could debuff the enemy's outgoing damage with Goat Scream, and it can also stun with Headbutt, as long as the boss can be stunnable. And also it can reduce the target's haste and crit chance by 10%. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of support. It could offer some support. Alright then. The pros about this class is that, this class is actually, this class can actually be a solid soloer. I'm not gonna lie. It could debuff the opponent, has axe, can also stun the opponent as well, as long as the boss can be stunnable. And it's easy to use and get. So, yeah. Shouldn't be hard to learn at all with this class. Alright then. The cons about, the undead, dead, goat, whatever, is that, it does need forge enhancements to really, pop out and show people. And also, your force skill, your bones of steel does take away your stacks of grass as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it for cons really. All right then. So for my final verdict, undead goat is, not gonna lie, a solid DPS soloing option, which can also debuff and stun the enemy as well. I recommend getting this class if you're looking to try something new in terms of soloing or just in general. Because not gonna lie, starting to have some fun with this class, even though I just got it. Alright then, that's pretty much been it for the Unundead GOAT overview. Make sure to like, share, subscribe for more AQ, WWE, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. NBA content. Yeah. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. And yeah. Hi guys, out.